Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure the thing is working. Yes, it's working. Eddie Marcus here, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. You know, I decided I want to speak on the subject matter. If this is what hell is like, I want no part of it. Let me see if I can give you some idea of what I mean and why I can stand here and say this with at least authority. Just like you, I grew up just like you, except I grew up in the South, Mississippi, doing some things that were happening back there in sharecropping days. It was life. Wasn't the worst thing. We didn't know if we didn't have anything to compare it with. However, we did have something that was unique. We had a church that we went to. We found out later that we were being indoctrinated to what the powers that be wanted us to be indoctrinated to. But anyway, to make a long story short, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm basically trying to say is this is as long as you've been in the world, however short or however long, you have seen the vices. You've seen the crime. You've seen the violence. You've heard of the killings. You've heard of war and the millions and millions that have died in war. And many of you have participated in war. Many of you have taken lives, and you have those who are close to you who've lost their lives. And all of this goes on continuously, continuously, continuously. And it's a bad sign, especially when you got something else that's supposed to be taking place where someone is telling you about God. And even when you're being told about God, you get all kinds of information that does all kinds of things. But what I really want to say, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter. Everything that is being done by humankind on earth today is playing a part in the corruption of this life. It is playing a part in the corruption of this life. And that means everything. Now, everybody got their ideas about this. They got their organizations representing this, representing that. But what exists is hellishness. And it doesn't matter how much heaven you're talking about, it's not here. So I just want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I've been put in a position to verify some of this stuff. I remember coming out of college, I had a decent job one time called a counselor with the Veterans Administration, kind of decent. And looking at after the concerns of vets and their survivors, I ended up getting exposed to a lot of other things that was happening in the Windy City. And what I actually found out, ladies and gentlemen, was that there was so much poverty, there was so much stuff going on. But not only that, because I had a decent job and it gave me a chance to check out certain things, I found out that this was part of a system. And so I made a decision that, based upon who I had developed into, I was not going to play a part in it. So I decided that I was going to leave the Veterans Administration and do something else. And the reason I say leave the Veterans Administration, even though I was doing good, it took my concentration. I had to really be involved in what I was doing. And I still wanted to do it, but I needed the mind to think, the freedom to think. So I started working at a storefront, making $2 or $3 an hour. And yet it was worth it because I'm on a mission now. At the time, I was married, and I was married to a lady who was not accepting that, and that was fine. And so we split. I want you to know we split because she went through the process. I was not going. Nobody in my family that I know of. Well, now that I'm thinking about it, at that time maybe not, but I can think of it now. I think there's been divorce in my family, but it was nothing that I was going to sit up and say, "I love you forever." I don't care how sick you get. I don't care how poor we get. I'm gonna leave you. Never crossed my mind. But anyway, it happens. So I ended up going to the military. Now here in my mind, I'm here thinking about human beings, the ones that love you the most, the one who take this oath and then sit up and slap you in the face with it. That tells you a lot. And especially when you know it happens, but you didn't think it would happen to you. And then it happens to you. And then I'm in the military, and Ronald Reagan is president. And Ronald Reagan does some of the most despicable things to poor countries. It was embarrassing to me. I don't know why it was embarrassing to me. It is embarrassing to me because I am who I am, and I didn't like it. So I was embarrassed. I wouldn't wear the military uniform, whether I was in Japan or the Philippines or anywhere in between. That was my protest. And finally, I was released from the military, and I started. Well, I was back down in Mississippi. I was driving tractors, doing that farming stuff sharecroppers do. And that was a young lady asked me once if I knew somebody. I don't know. Anyway, I got connected with that local university there, and I took in a job just for a moment. I'm just getting back into what you call the real world, and so I took this job for a while. And at the time, I'm thinking, trying to figure out how I'm going to move. What is I'm being led to do. So anyway, to make a long story short, I just asked God. I said, Lord, whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do. And honestly, I wish that I had a different situation. I say, in order to do the things that I'm going to do that I'm thinking about doing, I have to do it full time. And I'm going to tell you something. I actually asked God to help me to be able to survive. How? I don't know, but help me. And I'm going to tell you how it really happened. I met a young lady, sweet as she want to be. Young lady, she was just out of college. And for some strange reason, she messed up my mind. I wanted that woman. I wanted her to be my wife. Now, this didn't just happen by looking at her. No, this took some time. It took some time now. But I think what I found out later is that the thing that she liked was the fact that I described me as a man that gets up on the ball, taking care of making sure the family is all supported for. And this is the same thing that every wife or want their husband to do. And every husband wants to be able to do these kinds of things. But the difference in what I was saying is this. I found out later she didn't see it this way. I was thinking God has given me a plan, a mission and a plan. And because I was so excited about it, I just knew it was going to happen. So when I told her I was going to make sure that she didn't have to suffer for nothing, I meant that from the bottom of my heart. But I meant it because of the changes that were going to be made in society. That's what I meant. And anyway, we got married. We've been married for 40 some years. And I'm gonna tell you something. Every day as far as we were concerned, I didn't suffer for nothing. I had a roof over my head, I had food to eat, and if I needed a ride, I had a ride. If I needed to go out of town with travel, whatever she did, I did. So I was blessed. Now, what happened to me, I'm thinking God is blessing us, allowing us to do all these things, even though I'm not pulling in any money. But you go in and you find out I've been working for 40 years out here going to jail and prison and talking and sharing you the truth of life that would free us from this hell. But it didn't produce any money. And so for 40 years, after 40 years, anything takes place. 40 years, she gets tired. She said, hey, wait a minute. What's happening with this God? She didn't say what's happening with God, but she didn't like what was happening. So I ended up having to really face the reality of the world. You, and let me say what I mean when I say you, ladies and gentlemen. When I say you, I'm talking about every last one of you. When you look at me today, I got nothing. And I'm really not ashamed. I'm glad. You see, I probably look good with the suit on, but this is not my suit. I got this suit from my dear brother who passed a year and a half ago. That's what I'm wearing. I got nothing. But yet, for 40 years, I've been telling you the answers to your prayers. God has given you the power to make things right. God has given you the power to control life where nobody would have to suffer. And for 40 years, I've been out there telling, I told you I was running for president several times, running for governor, doing everything I possibly could to get a platform so you could get the message in. Nobody was even interested enough for the message for me to do anything except a write-in candidate. But I did it. For 40 years, I did it. My wife put up with it for 40 years. And now we have come to the end of that road, that 40-year period. Something has to happen. And what's going to happen? She's not going to put up with this. And I'm not going to put up with you. I'm not going to sit here telling, knowing how to fix this crap and telling you about it. And then I ain't got nothing. And then you looking at me and telling me, get a job, telling me to join what I'm trying to destroy, what I'm trying to wake you up to so you can make a change. No, I tell you what, if this is what hell is like, y'all can have it. I spent 40 years. I got, they say Jesus didn't write anything, but everything they told me, I wrote it. And I got it somewhere you can listen to it. But living here, y'all can have it. I don't give a stink about this. I want to change. If you're not ready to change, then I'm sorry. I'm ready to go. I just want to let you know that.